you to this afternoon's recorded webinar between the British Romanian Chamber of Commerce and our friends in the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce. I'm speaking from Bucharest. This event is recorded, and welcome to our audience, whether you be in Cornwall, Romania, or elsewhere around the world. We have a number of speakers this afternoon. I'm very pleased to introduce Luana Cosma of Stanton Chase here in Bucharest, and also Michael McNear, who, despite his name, is also in Bucharest. We were hoping to have with us the chairman or president of the Cornish Chamber, Kim Conchi, but unfortunately he's unable to be with us. But we do instead have a recording from Kim with a message, which we'll pass on to in just a moment. You do have a question and answer box here in the bottom of the page if you've got questions there. As you've heard, this event is going to be or is being recorded, and I think the plan is that it will be put online so that those who can't join us live can see what is said and access it later. So I think for those of you who for those of you who don't know in Romania about Cornwall, it's the extreme southwest county in what some might say is England, but others would say is not England, and is in fact Kerno, being Celtic, like Wales to the north and Brittany to the south. It's a place I've been to on many occasions. I always enjoy going. Usually Bodmin and similar places I find extremely pleasant to go to, and I hope we can find some interests of business this afternoon between Romania and Cornwall. So I think the expression I should be using is dohaid da, if I have not completely murdered the Cornish language, but that is bună ziua, good afternoon. Can we have the recorded message from Kim, please?
Bună ziua, prietenii din Romania, din Cornwall. Dorim să lucrăm cu voi. My name's Kim Conchi. I'm the Chief Executive of Cornwall Chamber of Commerce, and we're really looking forward to opening up a new market with our friends in Romania. So a little bit about Cornwall first. We are the rural region at the toe of Britain, and we have a thriving economy in the 21st century, having been rather behind the curve of British growth in the 20th century, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a moment. So we're really looking forward to opening up this conversation with our friends in Romania. One of our colleagues is a Romanian in the UK, and he suggested that we open up these channels of communication with you. So I'm the Chief Executive of Cornwall Chamber of Commerce. In the UK, Chambers of Commerce are entirely private sector run. We don't get any government subsidy, so we have to justify why businesses would want to be a member of a Chamber of Commerce. And we work very hard to be a dynamic, creative and forward-looking Chamber of Commerce here in Cornwall. So, as I say, the area is rural. The Industrial Revolution in the UK was started here sort of 250 years ago because we have tin under the ground here in Cornwall, and that was a very valuable commodity about 250 years ago. So the great brains as the Industrial Revolution started were here in Cornwall around the mining industry, which was where the rural prosperity was to be found at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And then the 20th century, we suffered a little bit. We were a small market. We were a long way from the big markets. We didn't have the scale to produce the sort of mass market products that were needed in the 20th century. And we ended up at the end of the 20th century being the poorest part of England, and in fact one of the poorest parts of Europe. So we benefited from 20 odd years of EU funding until Brexit a couple of years ago. And what that means is that we've got a newfound confidence in a new forward-looking economy now, And that confidence is coming back into the people, the business people here, because I think we were knocked a bit in the 20th century because it just didn't suit Cornwall's strengths. So the Chamber of Commerce here is dynamic and creative, as I say. We've got hundreds of direct members. We run the Made in Cornwall business scheme, and we're also associated with all the sector organisations in some of the sectors which I think there's some real growth opportunities to work with Romania on. So I run a small team here at the Chamber of Commerce. We're based at the office in Redruth in Cornwall, which is the heart of the old tin mining area and was a very prosperous area for dozens, hundreds of years, but has been really quite poverty stricken for the last 50 since the tin mining industry declined here in Cornwall. So we're now looking at new sectors, and we worked with our local enterprise partnership to work out what those opportunities for Cornwall might be going forwards. Now, local enterprise partnerships are our government's agency who are funded by directly by the government to work out what the opportunities are. And the Chamber of Commerce, as I say, is the private sector organisation. So the LEP funded the Chamber of Commerce to work out from research and surveys what people thought the opportunities were, what our natural resources and assets were here, and how we're going to use them to recreate a prosperous economy for Cornwall in the 21st century. The LEP produced online, and there's a little booklet called 10 Opportunities, which you can find, as I say, at the Cornwall City Local Enterprise Partnership website. And I'll just run you through some of the opportunities we see with them. And this is properly researched evidence now, and you'll see in this book or online, there's all the facts and figures that you would need to know. So if we look at the space sector, we have the UK's first spaceport is going to be here in Cornwall. And of course, rockets and upstream, there's lots of opportunities for prosperity, but also not to forget the downstream opportunities. There are far more supplies and provisions going into the performance of a spaceport than you'd think possible. So there's lots and lots of opportunities downstream, as we call it, in the space industry. Renewable energy is something we're very keen on here in Cornwall. We have been leading on onshore wind and solar production for many years. We're surrounded by 350 miles of coast if you look at our map, and you'll see that not only is that deeply rich in fish and some of those other marine opportunities that we've long taken advantage of in Cornwall, but now the Celtic Sea to the northwest coast of Cornwall is ideal for floating offshore wind, and we're hoping that we'll have an array of floating offshore windmills there, and the energy will be brought ashore in Cornwall. That will go alongside our onshore opportunities, and then as it develops tidal and wave energy becomes commercially viable, we hope that we can be absolutely the forefront of some of that in Cornwall as well, because of our long heritage in renewable energy and our interest in Batters Maritime with our 350 miles of coast. So renewable energy offers lots and lots of opportunities. Food is something that we're very proud of in Cornwall. We've had a long track record of very fine food and drink produced here. It's a beautiful rural area with lots of agricultural land, and the brand Cornwall is associated with provenance, outdoor living, good quality, and so on and so forth. And what we're developing at the moment is that brand value of Cornwall to be really important in marketing the provenance and the traceability of food and drink, and making sure that that's commanding a premium price for the products that we've got here. So for Romanians who I know love your food and drink, if there's any products here that we can move to from that sector, we'd be very happy to do so. We are very closely associated with Visit Cornwall, which is the hospitality association here. We've long been the UK's premier holiday destination, and now we're opening up the marketing more and more to the rest of the world. So if you'd like a perfect beach and rural scenery holiday, Cornwall's great. And also with our airport here, Cornish people are looking for interesting places to travel overseas. So please do think about marketing Romania in Cornwall as a holiday destination as well as a business destination. We'd be very keen to come and visit you there. The marine industry, because of our place in the UK and our nearness to both the United States and Europe as far as export markets is concerned, we've had a long maritime history, long track record of boat building and developments around marine technology, and then there's all sorts of opportunities to work with Romanian businesses in and around boat building, whether that be high-tech things or whether it be classic boat building. We really are passionate about our marine industries here in Cornwall. Mining, I'm a little ignorant about the back record of the mining industries in Romania, but here in Cornwall we had this long track record of tin mining. The 21st century opportunity is around lithium. Lithium is required for car batteries and other electric vehicles as we move towards an era of electric transportation rather than the petrol and diesel engines of the past. And there are enormous opportunities in lithium mining and all the surrounding paraphernalia that you need for the mining industry, and also the marketing of what happens to the lithium then to get it into usable batteries for the electric vehicle market going forward. So plenty of opportunities in this 21st century equivalent of Cornwall's mining industry. Also, the same geology gives us geothermal heat. Cornwall has 60% of the UK's geothermal heating capacity under our land here, and we've already got 3 geothermal plants. And if there are Romanian businesses that have got any parts or tools or equipment for mining, drilling holes into geothermal, through the granite into geothermal holes, then we'd be very interested in talking to you here as well. And finally, we have a long track record of health here in Cornwall, because it is a very healthy place to live. It's a very outdoorsy sort of place, and we enjoy our surfing on the coast, we enjoy our walking in the countryside, and everything you can think of in between. Very good at rugby, we're very good at, we've got some thriving amateur football teams and so on and so forth. So there's plenty of opportunities in the sort of health and well-being. And one of the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce passions is well-being in the workplace. And we're really looking to explore what the 21st century opportunities are around looking to build work and businesses being a force for good in terms of well-being. So plenty of opportunities around that sort of well-being in the workplace as well. Also, I should mention construction. That's a huge area. We've got a lot of building to be done over the next 10 years in Cornwall to meet our share of the National Growth Plan. So everything from residential properties on greenfield sites to redeveloping town centres. There'll be an active market here in Cornwall for many years to come. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about here in Cornwall. We look forward to hearing what the opportunities that you've got in Romania for our businesses to work with. And really would like to establish this as a very much a two-way street with Romania if we can. Some of the other things which I think you'd be interested in seeing is our new brochure here has just been produced today. That's available online as well for you to get a bit more information about the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce. I'm also on the Cornwall Place Board, and we have created cornwall.uk, and on there you'll find some of the wonderful opportunities that there is in Cornwall. And that website is hungry for content. So if you've got any interesting stories which feed into the Cornwall narrative, we'd be very interested in hearing about them from that point of view. So it's a thriving place, it's a dynamic, forward-looking place. We're working very hard to make sure that young people stay here and are offered good careers here in Cornwall now. We are short of workers in the hospitality industry, in construction, in the care sector, in agriculture. We had many Romanians, other Eastern Europeans and other EU workers here in Cornwall while we were in the EU. Post-Brexit, we're suffering from a bit of a labour shortage and keen to offer opportunities to people to work here as well. And I think the excitement, which I hope I've got some across in these few minutes with you, means that we're really in a position to look outwards. Cornwall, as I say, has hundreds, perhaps thousands of years of dealing with other cultures and other people around the world. And I think the post-Brexit opportunities that we see here, we can really grasp. And Cornwall is now seeing ourselves with much more self-confidence again, looking for new markets, looking for new friends and allies, both inwards and outwards, trading, importing and exporting, and working with new people and new friends from around the world. So plenty to offer here. I think we've got some great products and of course services. The creative sector is thriving here in Cornwall. We have a great film and game producing department at Falmouth University, which is Cornwall's own university. And those of course don't rely on borders. They don't rely on getting products across borders. So we really would like to deal with Romania on things like film, games, music. All of these things are thriving in Cornwall, and we really would like to explore new ways of and new partners in operating those as we open up in a post-Brexit world. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy the event today, and I hope it's the start of something really important for many years to come. Thank you. So my name is Kim Conchi. I'm the Chief Executive of Cornwall Chamber of Commerce. You can get me at kim@cornwallchamber.co.uk. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Kim. I'm sorry you can't be with us in person, but you have the contact details for Kim there if you have any questions to follow up afterwards. I've seen one question from Sinclair about work permits. As far as I'm aware, Cornwall is on the same basis as the rest of the UK upon rights to go into the UK and work post-Brexit. So, just to add from the point of view of the British Romanian Chamber of Commerce, for those who may be unfamiliar with us, we are also a voluntary Chamber of Commerce. We are an English company limited by guarantee, but we are bilateral. We have some members in the UK and some members in Romania and some around the world. We are a member of the British Chambers of Commerce Global Business Network, which is something we regard as very important in growing business links between the UK and Romania. Now, I'm a solicitor. I've been here for quite a lot of years now, and I'll be able to add some comments if there are questions about some legal matters. But I'm afraid my knowledge of Cornwall doesn't go too much beyond having some very pleasant days of working on the Bodmin and Wenford Railway, steam railway. So on that point, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, who is Luana Cosma of Stanton Chase. Luana.
Hi, I'm so glad to see you again. I'm so sorry it's not in person, but this is our new reality, so we'll have to adapt to it. I will share my screen, if that's okay with you, for a short presentation. Let me see if you can see what I'm sharing. Can you see it? Yes? Okay. So I would like to tell you a few things about us, about Stanton Chase, and our experience of doing business in Romania. We are, first of all, an American company, but we are individually owned in each country. So we will discuss a bit about that, and maybe later I will be able to answer some questions. We have an executive search perspective, being an executive search company. So we will be able to discuss a bit about that. Few things about us. We are in top 10 worldwide as an executive search company. As we know, we are the only company in Romania that is in this top 10 rank. We represent our clients in recruiting strategic positions. Either we are talking about board members, senior management, sometimes maybe middle management, but with a very strategic role for the company. As you can see here, more than 73% of our work comes from recommendation from our existing clients. This is very, very important to us. We are more than 350 consultants worldwide, based in 75 offices from 45 countries. Here is maybe, I don't know if you see the presentation, maybe you can confirm. For me, it's I cannot see it quite fully, and hopefully you can. I will want to move a bit fast over this part of the presentation, so we can discuss a bit over the trends in executive search from now on, and maybe this will help you a bit in establishing future businesses or in handling current businesses. As I mentioned, we are handling CEO and board advisory, of course, executive search, that's the main business. Also with executive assessment and executive coaching. As a practice groups, we are handling all industries, yeah, either if we talk about professional services, technology, consumer products, life science, we are trained and experienced enough to handle all of them. As a practice group expertise, we have expertise, of course, on CEO positions, CFO, all the board services, but also leadership assessment, and of course, new digital transformation that it's very important nowadays. It was always important, but nowadays, of course, it's a good thing to think about it. If we're talking about Stanton Chase in Bucharest, we have been here since 2005, so it's 16 years now. We were supposed to have a party last year, but of course the pandemic changed a bit everything for everybody in order to celebrate the 15th anniversary, but let's hope we will be able to do it next year. We have, of course, as I mentioned, a wide spectrum of services. We are a member of Association of Executive Search Consultants, worldwide association, and this is why we are aligned to some standards that we need to respect. If we were to talk about Stanton Chase Bucharest in numbers, we can talk about over 16 years of experience, over 100 CEO, country manager, GM positions, over 800 strategic roles that we have covered during these 16 years, and of course over 300 clients. We started a few years ago to assess, to have extended assessments in leadership assessments, but not only, and team assessments. We using a lot of psychometrical tools. What we learned, and I think this maybe might help in our experience with the Romanian market. First, we learned that the Romanian market is not so different from other European countries as a market. We, at least at this level, we found out that the recipe for success is pretty much the same. So our unique partnership with our clients is very important. We have a consultant role in every executive searches that we do. Of course, transparency is important and maybe the most important part of it. And I think this applies to businesses everywhere, not just executive search. Of course, our flexibility will help. And combined with our global presence, this will give us a lot of an upper hand. And one of the most important things is that a recruited candidate has to fit the culture. We will talk about a bit later about details regarding the cultural fit, but nowadays this is even more important than it was prior to the pandemic years. I would like to discuss a bit about some recent numbers that we will have to think about it, willingly or not. These numbers are from multiple studies that we and our colleagues have conducted. I'm talking about recent studies made between May and June 2021, so during our pandemic. According to more than 15,000 answers, we can say that more than half of young leaders, and that's 54%, are suffering from burnout. Also, the older leaders say that in proportion of 45%. This is something that we all will need to think about it in the next years, because at least, and this is why we made this separation of young and older leaders, we are expecting the younger leaders to conduct the change, to conduct the resurrection of the industries and everything else. And if more than half of them say that right now they feel to suffer from burnout, we might have a problem and an issue in the future. Also, we get to say that over half of managers have not found it easy to manage others if we're talking about mental well-being during this period of time. This is one of the most important things that leaders needed to attend during this pandemic situation, the mental well-being of their teams, because this was pretty affected during this time. So also more than half responded to this study that it was very difficult for them to do that. Another thing that is very important also for us and should also be, I don't know, maybe an alarm matter is that over 77 of the managers say that they are satisfied with their own performance. And of course, we were interested what the people that they manage say. So they only 57 of them said it was a satisfactory performance from their managers. So it's a bit of a difference here, and it's very important for all companies that to acknowledge this and to understand that there is still work to be done in managing teams during this period of pandemic, but of course, also in normal situation. What's normal anyway? So also another situation that crossed our mind and we consider to be very important from these studies is that only 37, so a lot less than half of non-managers, of teams believe that the company is effectively investing in developing their skills. So almost 40% feel, almost 60% feel that, 63, that the company is not effectively investing in them. Why is this important? Because one of our one of our important indicator that a person will stay and continue to make performance in a company is believing, is this factor believing that the company is investing in them and in their skills and that they are gaining skills during the time spent at the company. So actually, this can tell us that more than 60% of the persons are considering making a change, as according to their to what they said in 2021. So this is why in executive search there are some trends that are set And we will focus on doing that. And of course, I think this will happen maybe also in the market of recruitment, not only in executive search, but that's just an estimation. I can talk to you about executive. So first of all, of course, besides what we are already doing, we have to align culture with new strategy in the years ahead. And in order to do that, this will require setting a new course in leadership. And this will be emotional intelligence skills. Of course, technical skills are highly important, but the entire market, all the studies are continuing to emphasize this. Emotional intelligence in a manager, in a leader position, in a critical position, it's extraordinarily important. Also, as another way the executive search will go is value-based leadership is the only way forward. We will need to focus on the values that the company has, not only on the values that they say they have, yeah, because here it's tremendous, of tremendous importance, yeah. We notice that all the companies have a set of values that they declare, but it's so important that those values we can also really find in the companies, and this is done by a value-based leadership. And of course, empathy is one of the most important leadership skills according to research. It has actually, we have actually done research regarding that. And we have actually found there are some studies that will discuss exactly in how much money will a company lose with a leader that's not empathic. And for a 10,000 people company, the loss is around $225 million per year. So we talk about, and maybe in another meeting we can explain also how this study was made. We are talking about tremendous amounts of money lost because some of the leaders cannot be sufficiently emotional. They don't have enough emotional intelligence manifested in order to keep people around them, to grow the teams. And if we just make a simple calculus regarding just employees that leave and come back, all the turnover and everything else, it's said to cost 2 times the annual gross salary of one person, just the fact that he left in one moment in the company. So regarding that, it's just very real. So it's not only something that's good to have, but it's something that it costs a lot of money, companies. So performance and culture are in fact the cement that holds the bricks of a team together. So in order to make performance, we should have a culture that allows it. And in order to have a culture that allows it, we still need to make performance. So I think these are very well connected, and that's why we are looking now at these trends in executive search. And I'm sure maybe this information will help you also run your business in the future. This is why we look from multiple sides. Yeah, to one candidate, of course, we want to have the technical set skills that is so important, and I think maybe even more in Romania and in Eastern European countries, the technical set skills is it was at least the one that was more important. But we need to make it work in the same time with the culture and values of the company. Yeah, somebody that has to adhere to these cultures, so it could drive the company forward. But in the same time, we will need to have some leadership ability, and that includes what we talked about previously, like emotional intelligence, empathy, and the ability actually to actually see the others, to see the team, to understand them. not just, because the rest can be trained. It's easy to have a leadership training, and then we can say, well, that's done. But not exactly. We will need to have this competence at these persons in order to be able to get the performance that we want from them. Of course, after we have this candidate, we will need to assess the leadership talent, and in order to get that sustainable fit that we discussed and the performance. We assess it, and of course, I'm sure this can be applied to any company from all the 3 points of view, as technical alignment. Yeah, of course, it has to have the technical skills that we need, seconded by the leadership ability, and of course, the match with the culture of the company. So from this point of view, we will need to have that good match in order to make a search successful. And I think that's very, very important for everybody to be able to have a sustainable fit here. There are also math regarding how much it will cost the company that the leader will come and go. It's higher than his ability of leadership. I think we covered a bit of the trends. I am expecting the questions. If you have some questions now, if not, I will be here until the end of the panel, until my colleague will discuss also, and you might have some questions then.
Luana, and just to say, I've pasted a link to Luana and Michael's short form CVs, which are on the Chamber's website, and that can be found in the chat box.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any questions, please? We'll have those at the end if there are none at the moment. So you have time to think about it. I can see another question in the Q&A box. Luana, can you see the question from Sinclair?
Yes. Thank you for the question, Mr. Stevenson. Yes, we use multiple assessment techniques. One assessment usually takes about from 3 to 5 hours. And we are having business simulations, role plays, 2 psychometrical tools that depending on the role and what competencies we need to assess. We can use Hogan, SHL, DISC profiles, it depends, MBTI maybe. So in the end, we are trying to make an assessment. We are making tailored assessments, and we are looking at exactly the competencies that we need, together with the leadership skills and soft skills that we want for that specific team. So yes, we have also simulations, but not just that. If this answers your questions, I hope.
Can you say anything more about the first question from Sinclair in the chat box? Any more than I've said?
If Romanians can get the right to work, I have been employed in this industry a few years ago. So I worked in international recruitment. And during the time that Romania needed a yellow card and a blue card, I'm not sure this is, I don't think this applies now. But I don't think that post-Brexit, I can help you with any more information. I can tell you that before that, everybody that already had a national insurance number was able to continue working. I don't know after that if something different happened. So I don't want to give bad information. I mean, I'm sure they can get the right to work. I don't know how.
I'm sure we can find some people in the UK in the Chamber network who can assist with that.
Thank you so much. I'm still here if you have any more questions.
I think we shall go on to Michael. Now, Michael, as I've said, you will find a brief CV for him in the Chamber's website through the link in the chat box, but he is the Chief Executive Officer for Forum Financial Advisory and Training Solutions SRL here in Bucharest. Michael.
Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you very much, everyone participating from the BRCC, everyone's hard work to put all of this together here today, and also to Kim over in hopefully sunny Cornwall, and Luana here in Bucharest as well. So here we are talking about doing business in Romania. If we could have the next slide, please, Stefan. And just a little bit about me, as Neil has already indicated, there is, our CVs are on the website there in a redacted format. But I'm a former detective and financial investigator from the Metropolitan Police New Scotland Yard in London. I was on the homicide command, where we used financial work for financial profiling, which was very relevant, especially with the last case that went to court as well, because we helped to push further ingredients towards the jury finding this particular guy guilty of 4 murders of 4 people at different times. So, we could see and track that particular person, also see why the financial motivation was there. And just on the sideline, because I know I'll get asked, this guy will never, ever, ever come out of prison until his dying day. So that then led me on to the Organised Crime Command on the London Asset Confiscation Enforcement Team. So basically you have a drug dealer, they make X amount of euros or dollars or whatever, and then we do a parallel investigation to make sure we see what their current assets are, not just in the UK, but obviously Romania as well, other countries within Europe, and of course other continents as well. And we worked with the various financial intelligence units of those particular countries through the Romanian embassy, in this particular case, as we're talking about Romania. So that then led me to come here 2 years ago, where I have formed, as Neil has mentioned, Forum Financial Advisory and Training Solutions, SRL. It was formed typically just before the pandemic in March last year. So it took a little bit longer to get things going, though I did have some work virtually during the pandemic. So I was happy with that as well. So our focus is on corporate and criminal law consultancy. Also, I'm in partnership as well with a boutique law firm here, as Neil knows, in Bucharest, in Naka, Pertia and Associates as well. And I will come on to a little bit about that later as well. We also conduct due diligence checks as well. Of course, that's very pertinent now in the pandemic times, because businesses have put some resources, some funds away from compliance into other areas in their business. But of course, you have to eliminate the risk as much as possible. And that's the whole purpose of that. And of course, training. I do training on, I just completed training for a well-known French international consultancy company, and trained all of their Romanian employees as well on anti-money laundering, with some other practice areas, to come across as well. If we could go to the next slide, please. Well, most of my clients are international. I've had a various array of international clients that have come to me for assistance, as well as people and businesses from Romania. But I just want to share with you, unfortunately, it's just gone over a little bit there, but with our videos. But so my research tells me that according to the data from the National Bank of Romania, the main sectors currently attracting foreign and domestic investment are to do with financial intermediation, insurance of various areas, transactions, trade, manual, so I can't quite see that there, and constructions industry as well. And of course, the main impact countries that are currently, as well as the UK, that have a huge interest in Romania are the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Italy, and to a degree, Cyprus as well. It's very important, and I note what Kim said over in Cornwall on his video message as well, about attracting people from Romania to do business with the businesses in Romania. And just to answer the question that was from May on this particular point that was posed to Luana about people from Romania working in the UK post-Brexit. Well, I just want to, and I was going to mention this a little bit later on, but I feel this is an opportune moment just to put it in. So currently, any Romanian person now can go to the UK, whether as a student, a tourist, or as a business in business meetings and things like this as well. Their European Union health insurance card is still valid for that particular period whilst they're in the UK. And we're talking about all of the UK, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, England, and Northern Ireland as well. However, there is a big if now, and for longer visits, or if you are going to be employed within the UK, you have to get from the HM Immigration a visa so you can stay more than 6 months. There's more hurdles nowadays, guys. And of course, for the healthcare, which before, if you were there for 6 months, you could get free and you could have all of your health advantages, you would have to pay to the National Health Service a surcharge for any healthcare that you may decide to have there as well. Yes, it's not impossible. There's just a lot more hurdles on the track there to get over. And of course, the other thing is you'd have to have a sponsorship from the particular employer as well. However, there's another third part to my answer as well, and that whether we're in the UK or Romania or indeed elsewhere, lots of us are globally based nowadays as well. Stanton Chase is an American firm as well. And of course, some of my clients have various outlets and businesses in various countries as well. So my point is this: if you have like Stanton Chase and you have Stanton Chase UK and there's people on secondment from the Romanian office to there, it's fairly straightforward, to move over to the UK, but on a temporary basis. And again, the employer will have to, give like a reference if you like. So I hope that answers a little bit in summary what the gentleman or lady actually puts on the Q&A there. Okay, so foreign and domestic investment is very, very important for Romania. Romania is in a unique position, not just geographically, but in geopolitics, but also within the current climate of Europe as well. Romania has done much better than certain other countries within the European Union, and they are striving forward. And as I've mentioned before on another webinar, the employees are very, very good. They're very hardworking. They're very focused. They're very adapting to the situations, that are impacting us, especially over the last couple of years, including with COVID-19, working from home, keeping in contact with management and doing the actual work as well. Of course, as a lawyer, if you bill hours, then it's easier to track someone that doesn't bill hours. Of course, that you don't want them to be down in Okidea or Afi or something like this as well during their shift. And of course, it's much important now as well with Romania. There's a lot of young expertise there. We have a duty to these people to ensure, like Kim was saying with Cornwall, that these people stay within the jurisdiction, that they actually make Romania and Cornwall a better place for businesses to grow and multiply. And therefore, by doing this, you'll actually, little by little, as they say, as someone said to me the other day, little by little, a little bit of bribery and corruption will be eroded. And of course, we have to do that. We have a duty. And of course, organised crime does not pay. We have to hit the criminals in the pocket, not always by a prison sentence as well, and take one for the team. If you can have the next slide, please. Okay, this is a little phrase I heard once in England. Tax doesn't have to be taxing. Now, when someone is self-employed, they obviously have to do their tax returns as well. And of course, I do with my business. I have an accountant, which keeps me advised with all of the up-to-date legislation and also what I need to do, so I don't fall foul of the tax authorities here in Romania. And of course, we're in a unique position here, because even before Brexit as well, the UK and Romania had an agreement over tax. So, for example, a person like myself, I don't pay tax for my business. I don't pay it twice. I only pay the Romanian tax authorities here because my business is registered here in Romania. So, as we all know, the Brexit effect, Brexit's on the radar still, and UK companies are classed as a third country now because there's no free movement of people, goods or services. And of course, common provisions of VAT, customs, dare I say it, are no longer applicable as they were before. If someone wanted to do business with the UK from Romania, then of course they have to be, it's now classed as an export, not domestically over to the UK. So therefore there's other duties that one needs to take care of as well. And of course, there's all of the dividends, interest, royalties received from Romania by a company resident in the UK with EU directives as well in place. Everyone has to, there's a new perspective. It has to be viewed, it has to be followed. Policies and procedures have to be updated by the various businesses here in Romania and vice versa, should you wish to do trade from Romania to the UK, but also from the UK to the EU. You need to have a EU base here in the EU, and Romania is a good area, to focus your business on. So, will investors and businesses with all of Brexit be treated favourably as local ones? Well, we will see. Time will tell. Let's have a look at what happened at the end of last year. So the trade and cooperation agreement was signed between the UK and also the European Union, as we all know. And of course, we have to analyse our business relationships now, and because of the UK losing all of its rights. So what is the impact of Brexit on the Romanian economy? Well, we've already explained about the average person that may want to go to work in the UK and elsewhere, in Scotland or Wales. But of course, we have to ensure that things don't change too much, that we still have those network connections. And this is partly what the British Romanian Chamber does, and does some excellent work, and it's about ensuring connections stay together, whether things change or not. Things change in life. We have to be flexible, and of course, it's not just Romania. The British Chamber also covers Moldova as well. So it's a big challenge at the moment for any business throughout the European Union, but especially we're talking about here Romania. Business has to be followed up by the legislation and fiscal perspectives, and the tax implications need to be up to date, folks, to make sure that no laws are broken when the regulator, if they come to visit as well. Investment decisions, direct taxation, business travel is not so easy nowadays. We know with COVID, we have this webinar here today. Just yesterday and indeed last week, I was on webinars where I was a presenter, and we had people all around the globe, that were there ranging from New Zealand across Asia, Europe, and the States as well. So business travel isn't as easy now not only because of COVID, but also because of climate change as well. We all have to look at the climate change issues, every single one of us now. You go to McDonald's and you see how much waste is there, and that could be saved, not just in energy, but also in recycling. We have this duty with our businesses as well. And Romania is one, I believe, very strong, as is the UK, to enforce climate change on businesses, to ensure that when COVID, hopefully, when it disappears, we do hope businesses adopt this climate change approach to save this planet of ours. So one of my conclusions is that it boils down to how businesses will react to this Brexit effect as well. How will they adapt? But as I mentioned earlier, it's all about connections, about networking. You keep these connections going, you work together, and you come to a common formula and a common resolution as well. I mentioned earlier that my business has links and cooperation with Naka Patir and Associates as well. And one of our aims, and Neil was present when I mentioned this a couple of months ago, now it only seems like a few weeks, that one of our aims is to help British companies do business with Romania, also to have a base in Romania as well. Our two businesses are converged, so we can make sure that the business, the CEO, the management effects are not left out in the cold, effectively not knowing what the Romanian business legislation is and the criminal legislation as well, and what needs to be done. We will guide them through the various processes as well. And Kim, hopefully you will look back on this video later. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Cornwall's amazing, isn't it? But if any businesses there want to contact myself, then that's, and our businesses, then that's fine with me, of course. We'd gladly help any British business and from Cornwall to come here to Romania. We have the ins and outs, we have the training, we can do this for you. And of course, let's hope that the near future will bring future prosperity to Romania and both Cornwall and the rest of the UK as well. I thank you very much for my presentation. And Stefan, if you can just go to the end. Oh, I almost forgot, sorry. Romania, I understand people have asked me, is Romania a tax haven? Is it on the list by the Financial Action Task Force? Well, the reason is that it's not a tax haven, but it's a very, very lucrative place to come. Romania in 2019 was, so I understand from my research, was one of the EU countries that had legislation allowing it to be allegedly a tax haven for various holdings and as a generous, attractive investment destination. There was and is, it's not the lowest in the EU, a low corporate tax rate, which is 16%, and a low rate personal income tax rate of 10%. That I understand is the current figures there as well. If you, next slide, please. So the future, as we see it, well, we all know that digitalization is rapidly moved forward more than what we ever thought it would do a couple of years ago. And I certainly know from one of the big four consultancies here that things that they were planning to put in 2 years' time are actually in now. It's very, very impactful. And of course, one of the advantages is that sometimes you can work remotely. Certainly when I was in law enforcement, my role there allowed me at times to work from home, and I never thought I would be working from home or the office like that. As we all are now, it's completely, well, blown away. And of course, the impact of COVID-19 on businesses has had a big effect. What is legal, what's not legal as well. And the thing is that, and I just want to give you one example. One of my best friends lives in Florence in Italy. Their partner is not vaccinated. He goes to work, and his brother works. Her brother works at Yale University. I know, all on the medical side of things, and they've decided not to. And I leave that for their decision. But he has to be tested twice a week now for going to work, on the Monday and sometime during the week as well. So that has had a big impact. And with GDPR having this as well, with the vaccinations, who's not and who's this. So again, that is a bit here now, and also the future. What will happen with all of this as well? What choices will be given? And of course, we have to look also to national legislation, and of course, what the European Union and the European Commission gives us as well. And of course, and Luana touched a little bit on this as well, but Generation Z. What is Generation Z? Well, they're the youngsters that I believe that are coming through now and soon will be in the workplace. It seems a funny title to give them, but I heard that the other day and I quite liked it. When I was talking to one of the managers at one of the tax firms. So Generation Z, we have to be aware of how we deal with these guys and girls as well. What can they bring to the table to make our business develop and change? Because throughout human lifespans, we've always, humanity has changed a lot over the many centuries that we've been around. So again, the workplace businesses have to change it as well. We can learn a lot from Generation Z as well. We have to make sure that they're part of the team, to forward their ideas through as well. So that is a glimpse of the future. The road ahead, is it actually made? But I would suggest that any road that we develop now in Romania and the UK and also Cornwall is our own making. We make that road together. We will put that road together. We will tarmac it together to make sure that the road is going in the right direction. That choice is not anyone's, it's ours to choose, and we should be doing that together. Next slide, please. So that's me. If you've got, of course, the details will be on the CV as well. Feel free to contact me at any particular stage as well. And I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone and for inviting me to be on here today. But of course, let's do it all together. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, you have a question from Linda Middleton-Jones, but I think the answer to that has just been given in your last slide, which has your contact details. And of course, if you need any contact details of anyone who's speaking here, please come to us, go through the Cornwall Chamber or through ourselves. We are online and you'll find the links for us. Are there any other questions for this afternoon, please? If so, now would be a really good time to raise them. Perhaps I can ask a couple of questions myself, although it's slightly odd insofar as Kim is unable to be with us in person, in that we're all sitting in Romania, saying how we think Romania looks to people in Cornwall and elsewhere. So perhaps I can abuse my position as chair in asking a couple of questions to our two other speakers. Right. Luana, Michael, can I ask you, why would an investor choose Romania over other Eastern European countries? Who'd like to go first?
Ladies first, right, Michael?
Exactly.
Well, I think there are multiple reasons. First of all, Romania is a big country. We have a lot of people still here. Let's hope we can bring some home. Maybe we are trying to do that for leadership positions. So we are a large community, and that usually is very good for consume. We are interesting because we already have a certain maturity. If we're talking about corporate-wise, we have, I think, almost 30 years of corporations here. There are some investors, and each time we get to talk to our clients, to new investors, they say that a lot of reasons got them to Romania. Also the dimension of the country, the fact that we are in European Union, so we have a certain predictability, financial stability. Also, we are talking, of course, about people here that can work, and from here we have a lot of also good studies that show that that Romanians are very good employees. They usually talk at least one or two foreign languages, and this helps, especially for the BPO industry, but not only there. And now during the pandemic and after pandemic, the whole world is changing. We don't know exactly how, but some of the changes are, for example, regarding moving some industrial sites from Asia to Europe, and Romania is very interesting because of that. Some of our clients are discussing that. In the same time, there are also good tax policies in some industries, and I think Michael can maybe develop more on this subject. But these are for me the main reasons.
Michael.
Yes, Neil, thank you, Luana, as well. Yes, I find Romania is a very attractive country, to bring your business to. The workforce, as I mentioned in my presentation, are very professional and very knowledgeable, especially with technological businesses as well. And I've found them to be very helpful, assisting, and they will assist any business that comes here. Secondly, as mentioned as well, geographically, Romania is in Central Eastern Europe, so not quite to the eastern border with like Azerbaijan, but it's also very near to other countries in the Balkans as well, within the EU or not. And the case also as well with Azerbaijan, there's a lot of business which is starting to come from there as well, and sort of head westwards towards Romania. So again, it's in the right place, to attract other businesses as well. And of course, as well, Romania has a lot of heritage, a lot of beauty as well, but also there's a lot of development in the Black Sea with various other industries as well, like in the minerals and gas and other energy areas as well. The workforce, as I say, is amazing. It's very good and quite easy, really, to set up a business here if you know the right people, and the professional people to do that as well. That's what happened with me. I was assisted all along the way. Everyone is the main thing for me is they're very knowledgeable, very approachable as well. And with a Romanian workforce, you won't go wrong. And I'll give you one example. When I was in the police, one of the ladies, the detective at Wembley Police Station, her husband only employed Romanian workers because all of the, of course, this was pre-Brexit, but as I say, it's still possible to do this. And, I know people that are still working from here. He would only employ Romanian workers in the construction area because he knew, one, they would get the job done, two, they were cost effective as well, and they're all about being cost effective. Business as well nowadays is important. And three, any shall we say tools, saw grinders or whatever you got, for example, would come back in a better condition than they did before as well. And I've certainly, not just Romania, but other like Western Ukraine and Polish people are also very in tune with all of doing this as well. And do business with Romania, you can't go wrong. Thank you.
Second question I see has come from Linda Middleton-Jones about challenges with exporting to end users in Romania under Incoterms DDP. Have we any companies that act as importers of record? I think we can help you there. I will send you an invitation to connect on LinkedIn after this call, and we can get back to you, putting you in touch with some sort of people in the chamber to talk to. I'm conscious that we're running a bit over the time, so I'll finish with one other question for both Luana and Michael. What would be your 3 reasons, top reasons, to come to do business in Romania? Luana.
Only 3?
Only 3.
So I will talk about the current times. One of the reasons would be that we are one of the most reliable countries to do work from home. Bucharest has an amazing internet, and during the pandemic, we were able to have the KPIs done in a work from home environment. So we are very digital ready, to say that, especially in the private sector. The second reason, yes, would be the fact that we have a mature generation of a workforce that is well taught and that really understands the job and is also very much wanting to get the KPI done. And so workforce, so logistic workforce, and the fact that in Romania we still have a lot of peace, and the situation is actually very comfortable from this point of view, comparing to other areas in the world.
Michael.
I believe as well, your business will have business security, corporate security by doing business here in Romania as well. You can't go, as I mentioned at the end, you can't go wrong. It's all about security and making and a profit for your business as well. But I'd also like to add on that the risk reputation will be reduced as well. As Luana has mentioned, we have a professional workforce here in Romania, and they're very to adapting to different situations. And of course, yes, the Wi-Fi is very good here. So in a nutshell, I would say come here to Romania. You can only have security and you can make profit as well. But business here will not do you any harm at all. You need to come.
I think if I were asked the question, first reason, the people. Second reason, people. And third reason, the people.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think
Great answer.
if you wish for some guidance from Cornwall, I would suggest look to His Royal Highness, the Duke of Cornwall, who is quite probably Romania's best ambassador to the outside world. I'm sure you know that His Royal Highness Prince Charles has a number of properties and is a regular visitor to Romania. So if the Duke of Cornwall thinks it's good, I think it's worth you coming to see it as well.
May I just add one thing, Neil, please? There's a guy who works for the BBC who lives here near Brasov, Charlie Otley. I think Neil probably knows him as well. He did, and I would suggest to our friends and colleagues in Cornwall, you can certainly look on Google Charlie Otley and see the wonderful series he did about wild Carpathia as well a few years ago there to give you a taste of Romania, but also on Romanian National Day, the 1st of December, also on Digi, there is the Wild Danube, which is basically over 4 seasons, which he's released as well. So he's asked me just to mention about that as well.
Thank you. Well, try and say, well, thank you to Luana. Thank you to Michael for this presentation. It's been really good to listen to you. I think our audience have enjoyed listening. Thank you to all the people who have been listening to us. And thank you in particular to Anna and Stefan, my colleagues in the chamber, for setting this up. Anna, what's our next event, please?
Thank you, Neil. I would also like to give some thanks to our panelists and also to Cornwall Chamber of Commerce team for co-organizing together this webinar and for their amazing support on this. Our next event is actually tomorrow, Neil. It's going to be in Romanian because it is dedicated to the Romanian labor market. It is on the responsibility of safety and health of employees. But of course, you are welcome to join our event tomorrow. And not only in December, we're going to have a very interesting one with our member Sretina on the investment in CRM. So we're looking forward to seeing you at our upcoming events. And also next year, we are continuing our series of events doing business in Romania. This is actually our 4th edition. We started it last year in November. So we have 1-year anniversary of this amazing series. We are planning to do more to raise awareness on the beauty of Romania, as you were mentioning. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here with us and wishing you an amazing afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon.